Hello and welcome back to the DRH Show. Today, we are delighted to welcome a remarkable individual whose journey transcends the ordinary. She is a professional psychic medium, a tarot reader, and a passionate advocate for causes close to her heart. With a deep connection to the spiritual realm, she discovered her psychic abilities at a young age and has since dedicated her life to exploring the mysteries of the tarot and the stars. Her work not only offers insights into the future, but also brings hope and healing to many. Stephanie Demopoulos, thanks for joining us today.
Hi. Well, thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, Stephanie, could you share us how you discovered your psychic abilities and what inspired you to become a professional psychic medium and tarot reader? But just give us a bit about your background, your trajectory in life, and how you ended up doing what you're doing. Essentially, what is it all about, Stephanie?
Well, my grandmother was a spiritual healer, and my family goes way back into the spiritual realm. We do it like she was a spiritual healer. People used to come from all over the world to visit her, to see her. She used to help people in many different problems. So she was also like an intuitive life coach, as well as a spiritual healer. So we go way back in that. And also, when I had to been about 7 or 8 years old, I had a like dream-like vision of my grandmother passing away. She had, she was like, we knew she was going, but I had the dream that, that she left, that she went to heaven. And my grandmother woke me up, and I was like really upset about it, not, hoping that it wasn't true, and only for my grandmother to tell me, my paternal grandmother, to tell me that it is true, and not to be afraid of what I saw and how I may see other things in the future that are scary or that I may not want to know. And I think that was the scariest moment. And that's always a scary moment in my life, where I see things about people that I don't want to see, like losing relatives or friends, or but I even see births and marriages and things like that. Um, so my grandmother was very dedicated to this work, and she really, it was a big inspiration to me on doing this spiritual work and being in the spiritual realm and having a Greek and Romanian background. Of course, you guys know that Romania is the motherland of superstition and old folklore, so that's where a lot of it comes from. So, and I just can't imagine my life without having tarot cards and crystal ball, and being without being a paranormal investigator. It's just a big part of my life, and when I try to tune it out, it's just still there. So it's just something that's a huge part of my life.
So this is really deeply personal. There's a family element here, but I just want to step back a bit because some people might not be familiar how tarot cards work. So if you can kind of educate us, and also, would you say that there's a science behind it, or is this purely spiritual, a purely kind of personal journey?
um I definitely would say it's purely spiritual. Honestly, people do not realize that tarot cards are very similar to, like, in a way, a Ouija board. They could connect with the spiritual realm, and people don't know that playing with the wrong things or playing with the wrong sort of tarot cards could bring in something negative. Um, I don't usually, those are a tool. Do I need them? No, I don't need the tarot cards. It's about your gift, but some people just, they need them to tell the future, but I use them as a tool. I like to have them as to confirm what I'm picking up on, because I always like to be exact on how I predict things. So tarot cards are a very important tool, but there's many other forms of divination. But is there a science to it? That's a whole deeper question. That's a whole different rabbit hole.
And I think that's not the kind of thing that we are focusing today, but rather about your journey as a professional, and also about your spiritual journey. But I was just wondering, in your experience, how does, because you mentioned something earlier about what exactly you're picking up from someone, but how does a person's mindset affect their psychic reading? What I'm saying is that is a positive mindset crucial for a more accurate reading? Would you say that?
Definitely so. I would say so. If you want an accurate reading, I would definitely focus on what you're wanting to know. If you come in closed minded and doubting and feeling like you're not going to get your answers, then that is exactly what will happen. But if you be open minded and be positive and focus on your questions and focus on you getting answers, then that will be achieved. Your mindset does play a big role in how you are read in any type of spiritual reading.
And talking about like sort of negative mindset, how do you handle skepticism from clients during readings? And has there been any moment where you turn a skeptic into a believer? Because I'm just thinking that sometimes people go into, people who do psychic readings just to kind of like for fun or just as a way to experiment. So not all of them are really into this, but just sort of like skeptics. So how do you deal with those people?
Well, I deal with those people. I've had a lot of skeptics come in, and I have proved a lot of people wrong. Um, like I've had people, I tell them, you may be closed minded. Please just, give me an opportunity to tell your future. Give me an opportunity to connect with you, and then you could have you have a right to any opinion you have of me. So I've already always proved people wrong. I tell them, let me read for you, and once I read for you, let's go from there. But I've always proved skeptic wrong, a lot of skeptics wrong. I've had unbelievers become believers
And
because of my
what
accuracy.
Okay. And what ethical considerations do you believe are important in psychic readings and this kind of tarot consultations?
Um, well, I definitely would say is what's very important to me, and definitely part of my ethics. A big part is being completely honest, being insightful, being honest, not sugarcoating anything going on that I see in a person's life, because I feel obligated, to be truthful with them. So that's very important, and try to help them as much as I can. And sometimes I have to be terribly blunt and tell them exactly what I see. And that's the hard part. But I want to be as honest with them and truthful as possible and guide them in the right direction. And sometimes it could be hurtful and sometimes it could be difficult. But my goal is to help them find their inner peace.
No, of course, you're helping people find their inner peace, as you put it, and sometimes um, it also affects your mental health and emotional well-being. So what I'm saying is that you get energies from them, and you get to learn their problems. So how do you look after yourself?
Well, I have to say, self discipline, spiritual growth enabled me too. And the things I've gone through in my life where it has taught me self discipline and not to be affected by everything that is going on, which is a very difficult thing to do. But it's definitely accomplished by tuning out the noise in a very loud world and to find inner peace, that I found from God. That's given me the strength to help people and not have it affect me in a bad way. I think about the joy and success that will come in my clients' lives is what makes me happy, what makes me smile, seeing someone at peace from something that they couldn't be set free from is what keeps me going.
Absolutely. And Stephanie, I'm just curious, without naming any names and without going too much and giving too much details, can you share an experience where psychic reading had a profound impact on either yourself or to a client?
Well, I've had a few instances where that has a very big impact. I've had a client, and I asked a client about this before I've talked on the show about um, a client was not wanting to live anymore, and a client came to me and she was going through a lot, and I talked her out of suicide, and she changed her life around. I helped her change her life around. I helped her change the way she was thinking, change her mindset. But I didn't just change her, she changed me. She changed the way that I looked at things. And she is a client that I will never forget, but now she's happy, she's married, she's living a beautiful life, She gives me the strength. I think about her every day and how I have to keep going. I have to keep doing what I'm doing. And she's the one of the reasons why I will not give up.
And this is definitely from that story that you've shared to us. This is really a helping profession, and that there's so many professions. So sorry, there's so many people in helping professions like life coaches, counselors, and therapists. So, how do you see the intersection of traditional psychological therapies and psychic practices? Do you see that they can sort of complement each other?
Oh, definitely so. I do feel greatly that they can complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a way, a lot of being an intuitive life coach, a lot of that has to do with uh, psychology and helping that person change their mindset. I believe that both of those together could be a very powerful tool in helping people in both the physical and spiritual realm. It's helping people deal with things in a healthier way. So it is, I believe that it could be amazing. And that is something I'm working on. um, I wanted to get more involved in psychology and more become an official, maybe psychiatrist or psychologist, so that I could help people, but also be a spiritual counselor as well. And I believe that those two could do amazing, amazing things in a client's life.
And I'm also interested to hear about your thoughts on how the about the future of psychic mediumship and tarot reading. Especially now we've got a lot of things going on with technology and digital platforms. Do you think this is something that could be done remotely, or do you think an AI could be somehow involved? I don't know. I'm just sounding futuristic about this, but what's your thoughts, Stephanie?
Well, that's so funny that you said that, but I that's literally what was going to come out of my mouth. I believe that artificial intelligence may be the future of psychics. I believe they may be taking over our job. That's a possibility. But I do believe, that is a strong possibility. But I do not like, because technology could also has caused a lot of harm, especially in my community. Like a lot of amateurs joining, like social medias like TikTok and things like that, and people just picking up. And can it be done remotely? Yes. I've read for people as far as the Middle East, Spain, France, Brunei, I mean, from many different countries. So it is possible. But I would definitely say that as far as artificial intelligence and things going in that direction, I think it's very possible for artificial intelligence to be taking over the job of tarot readers. That's a very big possibility.
And Stephanie, just to kind of touch on other aspects of you as a person, because before this interview, I did a bit of research on your website, and I realized that at some point you mentioned that you were nervous during public speaking or radio interviews. So, how do you overcome these jitters, and what advice would you give to others who face similar challenges?
Um, I would definitely say a lot of it has to do with self confidence,
Mm-hmm.
having faith in yourself, and also, because you could be an expert in your field and you could be giving an interview, you could be a complete expert in your field. And I've seen people in many different businesses and do like interviews and things like that. It's just about, you have to think about your goal of giving that information and not thinking about yourself, and just focus on what you're there to do, and not think about all of the pressures and all the other aspects of it.
Absolutely. And Stephanie, I've also learned that you're involved with the Wounded Warrior Project. So how does your work align, your psychic work, how does it align with, the Wounded Warrior Project? I mean, with, in relation to your goals and mission.
It actually has nothing to do with it, but I just feel that the people who fought for our country are very underappreciated and underrated. And I want to be able to touch in more on charity, and do more for the people, especially people who fought for our country. So I think that that's very important for me. It's just something to better the lives of others, and I just would like to do more for them.
Absolutely. Especially that that they're really sacrificing a lot.
Yes.
And you're also raising awareness and funds for Operation Underground Railroad to combat child trafficking. So you're really involved in a lot of advocacy. So could you share to us about this cause and why it's important to you?
Well, it's important because unfortunately, I live in the state of Texas, where Texas is really the top, one of the top three states in the country, maybe in the world, for human trafficking. It's right here. I mostly grew up by the Mexican border. So there's a lot of horrifying stories and people that I've run across, and I've met victims. I've heard so many stories, and it's just sickening. It's just disturbing for me. And the watching the movie, I definitely recommend everyone to do that. But knowing what I know, it didn't take the movie to open my eyes. It's knowing what I know and living in the state of Texas and hearing what I hear and knowing how what goes on in everyday life is what's important to me, and protecting children. And that's why this is important to me. And I've noticed that they were involved in some rescues here in Texas. So that's why I said I have to get involved in this. I have to help.
Absolutely. And I think you're talking about this film, The Sound of Freedom. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us more about this film and what impact does it have on you, and why do you think this is a perfect film to kind of raise awareness about child trafficking?
Well, I definitely believe that the film was a huge reality check that society needed. And I feel like right now, yes, that is something that happens. And I feel that um, a lot of people are in denial. No one wants to believe that this is happening right under our noses. So this is definitely a big reality check that we needed, that there's actually real monsters crawling around in the world. And it's a very hard pill to swallow, but it's something that we need to keep our eyes open and to keep children safe in the community, because that's our job. We cannot let evil go around in the world and do nothing, because at that point we are no better than them, no better than human traffickers.
That's a really powerful message, and I really salute you for all the advocacy and the work that you're doing within this field. Now, Stephanie, we already come to the end of the interview, but I just prepared some quick fire light-hearted questions so we can get to know more about you as a person,
Mhm.
aside from your advocacy, aside from your work within psychic reading. So this is the first kind of quick fire light-hearted question that I made prepared for you. What were you afraid of as a child?
I was definitely afraid of the dark. That was a big thing. I was definitely afraid of the dark.
Okay. And what is your favorite word in another language?
Another language. So many. I definitely would say amore, and which is it's love in Spanish and Italian. I do know some Russian, some Greek, and a little bit of Romanian.
And if you hadn't been a psychic medium, what would you have pursued in your life?
I would definitely say probably science
Mhm.
or psychiatry.
Mhm. And finally, the floor is all yours. What should people take away from today's conversation?
Um, I would definitely say is that the takeaway here is that you are not alone in the world, and that there's many things we can do to change your life to give you a better quality of life. That sometimes, yes, the physical realm may not give you the answers that you are seeking, but sometimes maybe you need your answers from the spiritual realm to find inner peace. Sometimes there's a connection between the two, and people don't realize that. So
Absolutely.
it's very important.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding us about that, Stephanie. So what I'll do is I'll put all the links to your website and to your social media channels so people could get in touch with you. In an era of uncertainty, your insights offer a beacon of hope and a path to inner peace. Stephanie Demopoulos, professional psychic medium, a tarot reader, and a passionate advocate. It's been a pleasure having you here in the DRH show. And I look forward to hearing more about your impactful work.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.